In November 1971, a man boarded a Boeing 727, hijacked it, extorted $200,000, and then, without a trace, vanished into the night sky, never to be seen again. This wasn't a movie, it was real life. The man, known only as D.B. Cooper. And what makes his story truly mind-boggling is that despite one of the most intense, widespread manhunts in FBI history, involving thousands of agents, billions of spent resources, and decades of relentless pursuit, they found absolutely nothing. No body, no parachute, no money. Just a legend born from thin air, leaving us with one chilling question. How do you pull off what should be the perfect crime and simply disappear? Our story begins on November 24, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. A man identifying himself as Dan Cooper purchased a one-way ticket on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. He was unremarkable in appearance, in his mid-40s, wearing a dark suit, a crisp white shirt, a black tie, and an ominous dark overcoat. He carried a black briefcase. Cooper ordered a bourbon and soda, lit a cigarette, and waited. The flight was short, a mere 30-minute hop, but Cooper had no intention of reaching Seattle in the conventional way. As the plane climbed, he calmly handed a note to Florence Schaffner, a flight attendant. Schaffner, thinking it was a lonely businessman hitting on her, tucked it unread into her purse. Cooper, however, leaned in close and said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note, written in neat, all-caps handwriting, stated he had a bomb in his briefcase and wanted specific demands met. Schaffner, now white-faced, discreetly informed the captain. Cooper then opened his briefcase, revealing an array of red cylinders, wires, and what looked terrifyingly like a detonator. His demands were precise: $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, 4 parachutes, 2 main and 2 reserve, and a fuel truck waiting upon arrival in Seattle. He was surprisingly calm, polite even, throughout the entire ordeal. He wasn't violent, wasn't yelling, just a man with a plan, executing it with chilling precision. While the plane circled above Seattle, allowing time for the FBI and local authorities to scramble, he explained his instructions to the crew, detailing the exact refueling procedure, the flight path he wanted to take, and the altitude. He seemed to know what he was doing, suggesting a familiarity with aviation that unnerved the crew. After hours of circling, the money and parachutes were loaded onto the plane in Seattle. All 36 passengers were allowed to disembark, along with 2 flight attendants. Cooper kept the remaining crew: the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and Florence Schaffner's colleague, Tina Mucklow. With his demands met, Cooper ordered the plane to take off again. His new destination? Mexico City, but with specific instructions: fly below 10,000 feet, maintain a speed no faster than 200 knots, and keep the landing gear extended. He also insisted the cabin remain unpressurized. These were unusual demands for a typical skyjacking, demands that hinted at a deeper, more daring scheme than simple escape. As the plane headed south, sometime after 8:12 p.m. over southwestern Washington, Cooper sent Tina Mucklow into the cockpit and instructed her not to open the door until he told her to. The crew felt a slight change in air pressure, and a warning light illuminated, indicating the aft stairs had been deployed. A few minutes later, at approximately 8:13 p.m., the plane lightly pitched upward. Cooper was gone. He had jumped, with $200,000 strapped to his body, into the darkest, coldest night. The Boeing 727, a large commercial airliner, was flying through a severe storm over rugged, densely forested terrain in freezing temperatures. The entire crew, peering into the blackness, saw nothing. just an empty sky where a man, moments before, had been sitting. The FBI, now fully mobilized, launched NORJAK, Nordic Jack, the code name given to the operation. This instantly became one of the most exhaustive and expensive manhunts in U.S. history. Over the next few years, agents scoured an area of approximately 200 square miles around Cooper's presumed landing site. They brought in military personnel, conducted extensive ground searches, and flew countless aerial surveys. They interviewed over 800 individuals, all fitting some aspect of Cooper's description. Every tip, no matter how outlandish, was followed. They theorized he was likely an experienced paratrooper due to his knowledge of the plane's systems and parachutes, but no former military personnel fitting the bill could be definitively linked. The $200,000 had serial numbers, but not a single one ever resurfaced in circulation. It was as if Cooper and the money had literally dissolved into thin air. Then, in 1980, nearly a decade after the jump, a glimmer of hope, or perhaps a further deepening of the mystery, emerged. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram, picnicking with his family on the banks of a river near Vancouver, Washington, stumbled upon 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. They totaled $5,800. The serial numbers matched those given to D.B. Cooper. This was the only confirmed part of the ransom ever found. The discovery was significant because it was located downstream from the presumed drop zone, raising the possibility that Cooper might have landed elsewhere, or perhaps, more grimly, that he didn't survive the jump and the money was washed away. The money was damaged, suggesting it had been exposed to the elements for a long time. Was this all that was left of D.B. Cooper? Or had he buried the rest, only for this small portion to be unearthed by chance? The Cooper case remains officially unsolved. The FBI finally suspended active investigation in 2016, citing the sheer lack of new, credible leads. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. Some believe he died upon landing, his body lost in the dense forests, or carried away by the Columbia River. Others hold that he was a master criminal, an ex-Special Forces operative, or a brilliant engineer who meticulously planned every detail and lived out his days in some remote corner of the world, enjoying his ill-gotten gains. There are suspects, of course, many who were investigated, some even confessing on their deathbeds, but none could be definitively placed in that seat on Flight 305. The identity of D.B. Cooper, the man who jumped from a plane with a briefcase full of cash and a parachute into the unknown, is a secret he took with him. His story, a true testament to audacious planning and a near-perfect vanishing act, continues to inspire fascination. To this day, the legend of D.B. Cooper endures, a phantom of the skies, an unsolved riddle that captures our imagination and reminds us that sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones where we may never truly know the ending. If you want to dive deeper into another baffling cold case, the next video explores the strange vanishing of the Sodder children after a mysterious Christmas Eve fire.